Welcome back to the Parlor City Voice, episode 7. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. 7 episodes.
7 episodes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
One more than wait a minute. Is that one more than a Star Wars movie? I don't think so. I'm not
How
sure.
about Harry Potter movies?
It's the same number as Fast and Furious. I can vouch for that.
All right.
Everything you said is wrong.
What, there's more than 7 Fast and Furious movies?
So there's probably 12 by now.
That's Quinn, the producer, by the way, behind the camera. There is not. We don't have time for this. We got to move on. We'll come back to it. Put a pin in that. Welcome to the podcast. Our guest today is Mike Miller. Mike is our dispatch director in Wells County for 911.
Is that the official title, or is it 911 director?
I think it's 911 director.
911 director.
I want to get it right.
Yeah, I do too. I was gonna call you the 911 genie. No?
No.
Yeah, okay. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm good.
Good. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Mike Miller?
Well, jeez. Well, I'm married. I have 3 kids. We're empty nesters. I've got 1 grandson. I have a granddaughter on the way. I say I had 3 kids. Yeah. So, my wife and I, we've been married just a little over 33 years.
Oh, congratulations.
Cute. We have lived in Bluffton our entire married life. I grew up basically in Bluffton. We moved here from Aussie in, I think, 1978. And I went to Norwell High School. All 3 of my kids went to Bluffton High School. I graduated, my wife and I graduated in 1989 from Norwell. We were high school sweethearts. We just started dating when we were freshmen.
Great.
High school.
What started the romance?
So I played football, she played volleyball, and she was actually new to Norwell. She went to Winnicott Lutheran School over in Adams County through the 8th grade. And then freshman year, she had to go to public high school. And she lived up in Hart County, the northeast corner of Wells County. So she attended Norwell. I'd never seen her before. I just remember one of my buddies, we were going in the locker room, who is that blonde over there? That was the first time I saw her, and
The rest is history, as in, sir.
yeah, I guess so, yeah. So, pretty cool.
Sucker for blondes, huh?
Yeah, okay, all right. So after high school, I went to IPFW, or PFW now. First semester, it just wasn't for me. I didn't care for the school. And then I worked a factory job for about 8 months and realized I did not want to do that. So I ended up going to Vincennes University.
That's ranked school? Great school?
Yeah, I loved it down there.
Yeah.
And I studied law enforcement, or then their law enforcement program. And after my first year, I got an internship with the Bluffton Police Department. And I did that for a summer. Unfortunately, doing that, I didn't have a lot of time to work. So I didn't have a whole lot of money. And the chief of police at the time was Bob France. And he actually offered me a job as a dispatcher. And so my dad was like, you don't have a lot of money.
That was like, son, get a job.
Yeah.
Send a man up.
So I was like 3 days after I turned 21, I got hired as a dispatcher. And it's funny how things have changed, because back then, you probably remember Pat Wall.
I do.
She was my trainer. And I came in on a Monday on second shift. On Wednesday of that same week, she left me alone in there so she could go eat dinner with the officers. And during that time, we had a fatal house fire that I dispatched. And then Friday night at midnight, I was turned loose, and I worked adult. I trained on second shift with Pat, and then come midnight, Pat left, and I was the third shift dispatcher. And about an hour into the shift, we had a pursuit with a guy on a motorcycle.
Wow.
So that was...
Cut your teeth.
Yeah.
Baptism by fire.
Yeah. So I did that. I dispatched for 4.5 years, and then got hired as a police officer. And graduated from the academy in September of '96. And geez, I worked over the course of my almost 25-year career. I worked every shift. I became a crime scene investigator went through the Indiana State Police Crime Scene Investigator School. Did that for about 14 years. I was promoted to sergeant, and I was an FTO, field training officer. I did that for almost 20 years. So in a small department, you wear a lot of hats and do a lot of different things. So I enjoyed all of them. Especially, I loved being a sergeant, running a shift. It was just, I really enjoyed that. And then in September of 2020, I kind of decided it was time.
I had enough.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Chief of police at the time was Kyle Randall. I worked under 4 chiefs: Bob France, Tammy Schaefer, Nathan Husson, and Kyle. And then also, how many mayors? When I got hired in, Tuck Faulkner was the mayor. He actually was the mayor when I was approved to be hired as a police officer. And then Ted Ellis, on January 2nd of 1996, he swore me in.
Okay.
And so then Mayor Wicker, Mayor Mincer, right? They're all, yeah. So I've seen a lot of different personalities and leadership, and they were all, as far as the chiefs go, they were all good. They were all good at different things. I enjoyed working for all of them. But when my time was done, Chief Randall come to me, and unbeknownst to me, I did not realize that at the time, the 911, back then for the city of Bluffton, I think they call it the 911 communication director. I can't remember what the title was, but I did not realize he was leaving. And Kyle come to me and wanted to know if that would be something I would be interested in.
Here we are.
So here we are, 5.
So how long were you retired?
I officially, my time as an officer came to an end on midnight of September 9th. I think that was a Saturday night, Sunday morning, and I came back to work on Monday in a different office.
So a weekend.
Retired for a weekend.
Yes.
So it's got to be some kind of record, right? Shortest retirement in history.
Yeah, I don't know, but I felt like a pretty easy transition. I mean, I'd worked in the building since '91 and still knew a lot of things on kind of both sides. I mean, I was a dispatcher for 4.5 years, and things had changed, but at the end of the day, the basic job was the same. So I had a good understanding of that. And, I have loved my entire time working for the city. I grew up here as a hometown. I loved the town. And so I wasn't really ready. It was
And you live on one of the best streets in town, West South Street.
East South Street.
East South Street.
St. T lives on.
Clearly, he's very poor.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
That might be worse than amateur. Might be worse than amateur. He's wettest.
So
Idiot.
So yeah, and we've lived in that house since I moved in before we got married in '92.
Okay.
Ever since, raised all of our kids there. Yeah.
So then there was a change in what all the dispatch department was responsible for.
Yeah. So when I started, we had spots for 10 dispatchers, which I think when I started, I think we had 9. And at some point in 2021, there was talks about starting a 911 board. So I think August of 90, I don't want to keep saying 91, I think because I started it. In August of 2021, we had our first meeting. We just kind of put together a group. And so the initial board, the intentions of that board was not to be the 911 board, but to figure out how to create a 911 board. So we brought in Barry Ritter, who runs Ritter Strategic Services. He was the Indiana 911 board executive director. He was the original, but when they first created the Indiana 911 board, he was the first director of that board. And now he has a consulting company. So we brought him in. He gave us some advice, and I think if I remember right, the original interlocal agreement, which helped with the structure of the board, we signed in October of 2022.
But prior to that, there was dispatch coming out of the city, and there was some dispatch out of the sheriff.
Sure, yes.
Right?
So, yeah, and that it had been that way forever. Like when I started in 91, the city dispatch was responsible for the Bluffton Police Department, and then EMS and fire countywide. And the sheriff's department, their dispatch was the deputies and all of the other smaller communities that had police departments, Marple, Aussie, and Zanesville. And it was that way for forever. And then in 1993, we got countywide 911. Prior to that, we had only had 911 in the city limits of Bluffton and, of all places, Craigville. And I think it was just because of Craigville telephone. And we had 3 911 lines. 2 of them were marked with the yellow button, and one was blue. The blue one was Craigville. The yellow ones were Bluffton. And then in 93, when we got countywide 911, Bob France was the chief, Tim Mead was the sheriff, and they had a discussion on where the 911 center was going to be. And at that point in time, they decided, since the city of Bluffton was already doing it, that we would just continue to do it.
And that's a little bit unique. In most counties across Indiana, 911 responsibility lies under a county structure.
Correct. Yeah. There's 6 counties in the state of Indiana that
Operate like we did.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's us, and I think it's Perry County, which is down in the river, Tell City. We're the 2 smallest. The other ones are like Allen County, Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne runs that one. I think Evansville, they operate the one, and county is that Vanderburgh. And then Bloomington, I believe they operate them, the one.
So at some point in time, someone thought, let's stop doing 2 dispatch centers, right? And that, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what sort of started this idea of let's try to pull it work.
Actually, the talk of the 911 board, and that started before.
Okay.
And what had happened was we had started those conversations. Like I said, I think our first meeting where we kind of got together was in August of 2021. In October of 2021 or November, I can't remember now, the sheriff come to Kyle, Randall, and I, and it's like, I can't keep dispatchers. I can't get any higher. We can't do this anymore. We need you to take it over. So we unofficially became like the countywide 911 center at that point. And then shortly after that, I had a dispatcher who resigned and moved to Arizona because of the health of his parents that lived out there, and we slowly lost a couple. So in 2022, we were down to 5 fully trained dispatchers and myself, trying to keep dispatch running.
I think I'm on the current 911 board, and it's been very educational. I think one of the most misunderstood, maybe just unaware things is how complex 911 dispatching can become. And you would probably agree from the days that you started back in the day.
Right.
I know I sit through these meetings and listen to the hours of training and the amount of data that you're processing and pushing back out, and it's a little mind-boggling.
It is, yeah.
It's
Even for a small county like us. And so when I was a dispatcher, you would take a call, you'd use a piece of paper, you wrote notes down, and you immediately dispatched it. And there would be many times you'd have the phone up to your ear and you'd tip it up and talk on the radio. And our dispatch times were quick. And then when you had time later in shift, you typed up a log. So, everybody knew what had happened during your shift. They'd go back and look at stuff. Now, the dispatchers are doing all of that typing as they're talking to they don't write anything down paper. Everything is typed right into the notes, as opposed to going back and doing it later. And there's a lot of technology in there. When people come in, like for a tour, I think they're blown away by the amount of computers and monitors. And I think each console has 8 monitors. And so there's a lot of stuff that they have to do. And all that stuff is great, especially when you're trying to find, data. But it slows the whole process down.
So 8 monitors. I mean, give people listening an idea. What is everything that you're looking at? That seems like a ton of information you're trying to look
So we have 2 of the monitors are just for the phone. So we have our phone monitor that it's touch screen. It's got the 911 stuff, and it's got admin lines. It's got buttons to transfer. We can transfer the call to any officer with just a touch of a single button. The other monitor for this 911 phone is the mapping. So whenever we get a phone call, we get a map that goes along with that. And this technology was built for landlines, and they're trying to migrate to cell phones. And it's been challenging, but it's getting better. And so sometimes it might be a little bit slow, but it'll pinpoint pretty close to where
that cell phone call is coming.
Correct. And then one of our other monitor is our radio control. So, we can talk to city, county, fire, EMS. We can talk to other agencies. I mean, with the statewide system, we can get on the radio and talk to a department if we needed to in Southern Indiana.
Okay.
I mean, we don't do that,
sure,
but we could if we needed to. And then we have there are 4 in-house monitors that are, they'll put up. We have, like, for the flock cameras, we get notification. We have Rapid SOS, which is it's a third-party vendor that does very similar to what the 911 map does, but it is designed just for cell phones, and it's very quick. And it actually makes a noise before 911 even rings, and the dispatchers know that they're going to get the call.
That's interesting.
And, we've had people that have been out mowing their yard, and as long as the phone call is up, it'll track them. And you can see them going back and forth in their yard. It just tracks them as they're moving. So we have that up and running. There's, trying to think, I Am Responding is on a monitor, which that is a program that the fire departments use, and it goes through their cell phones, but it allows our dispatchers to see who is working on each fire department, and then when there is a call, they can see on there, like, who's responding. And there's mapping. We're learning more and more about that system. It was just kind of put in there years ago, and nobody was ever taught anything. They're like, you never have to worry about it, but we're learning more and more about that system. And our current EMA director has been adding information to it, and he's got so much stuff in there for hazmat. I mean, you can click on any building, it'll tell you if hazardous materials, what might be in there. So there's a lot of information in that program. And
so it sounds like you got about 4,000 data points.
yeah, it's crazy.
So Bluffton was staffed to have 10 dispatchers. We pull in the sheriff's department.
Yep.
And they ideally were staffed with another.
I'm not sure how many dispatchers they were supposed to have, but the sheriff was wanting us to be able to basically dedicate a dispatcher just to the county police. So the sheriff's department, all the departments that they always dispatch for, which makes sense because the city is just as busy as the county and all the other departments. So basically there's a formula you can figure out, like, how many people. And for us to be able to have 3 consoles operated 24 hours a day, we needed to add 5 more people to our staff.
So a total staff of
15. And we are currently at 12 fully trained, and we have our 13th hired.
How many hours approximately go into training a dispatcher?
About 1,000.
Wow.
That's a few more hours than you got when you came on board.
A little bit.
The change must be amazing to you,
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah.
I had a question for you. This just popped into my brain. I was with some folks in another county that are fire, and they got page that was an AI voice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a thing?
Yes, it is. There's several departments in the state of Indiana. So you have a dispatcher that's entering all of the information, and when they go to page it, then the voice does all the talking. That way, we try to keep our dispatches short, concise, to the point, and then when the fire department, EMS come up, dispatching police is a lot different than fire and EMS. When the responding units for the fire department or the EMS service, when they come up on the radio, then we will give them more information. But all we are trying to do is get the address and what the call nature is so that they can
Get them out the door.
Yeah, exactly. So we got to keep it short. And that ensures that they accomplish that. It keeps it short.
So I think it's pretty interesting to hear. You do admin calls too.
Yes.
You do them for all the departments.
Yes.
On an average calendar, but I know the number roughly. What was the last admin call number that you spun out
For
the quarter?
quarter? Well, the quarter, so that was for the entire year. It was 31,000
Okay.
admin calls.
That's just that. Okay, so people listening probably don't know what an admin call is. Why don't we?
Basically, it's a non-emergency call, and it could be. And we classify even calls for service can be admin. So like people that have lockouts or men checks or just things that the officers go to and just it's paperwork. Barking dogs. Yeah, those are more of an admin call. Then we have our 911 calls, which we're right around 10,000 of those a year.
That's a lot.
So we've made the investment to try to get that staff, working to get that staff up to 15.
Yeah.
When we first started this joint effort, we had a reduction in staff because some people left.
Yes.
What has been the impact to the response time as one, we've added people, and two, as we've gotten these people trained up?
Yeah, and you can definitely tell a difference with last year when we had a lot of new people to this year where they got more time under their belt.
More seasoned.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat and look at my notes here real quick. So there's NFPA standards, which what is NFPA is National Fire Protection Association. They have standards for dispatching fire and EMS, and they're strange times, but the two times that they target are 64 seconds and 106 seconds. And their recommendation is that 95% of your calls are processed. So from the time the dispatcher takes the call until they're dropping the tones, 95% of the calls have to be processed in 106 seconds, and 90% have to be processed in 64 seconds. And there's a whole response time thing, and the dispatch center is responsible for the processing of the call, and the fire departments and EMS, they're responsible for what's called rollout time and drive time.
Okay.
And which can total anywhere between 6 and 8 minutes is what they're allowed. Last year on our EMS, we averaged 90 seconds per call was our processing time. We hit the 64-second one 27.9% of the time, and the 106-second one 73.6% of the time. Then on the fire side, our average processing time was 108 seconds. And we hit 64 seconds 24.4% of the time, and the 106-second one 61.6% of the time. Now, those don't sound like great numbers, but in 2021, shortly after I had taken over, when we pulled that information, the 64-second one, we were hitting about 7% of the time, and the 106-second one, we were hitting about 18% of the time. Now, this year, for EMS, our average processing time is 83 seconds, and we're hitting the 64-second mark 37.4% of the time, and the 106-second one 84.1% of the time.
So much improved.
Yeah, and the fire numbers are almost the same. So, so we have made some improvements, and something else that I found today, I didn't realize I had access to the numbers. Part of that whole call taking, from the time the 911 call hits the service, we are supposed to have it answered in 15 seconds. And they want 90% of the calls to be answered in 15 seconds. And then 99% of the calls answered within 40 seconds. We are 100% on the 40-second, and the 15-second. As of this morning, we were at 99.82%.
That's great.
And our average ring time from the time it actually hits our service is 2.3 seconds.
You know, I was in a pretty scary traffic accident last June, and being on that side of it, I was pinned in my vehicle, and I should say everybody's okay. So it's a kid with a stop sign. I hit him pretty hard, pretty fast. I couldn't get out of the way. And yeah, to hear that response as quickly as it came was a huge relief.
Right.
And it's a terrifying moment.
Yeah, when you're in that situation, even if it's only taken 4 minutes,
Yeah,
it seems like 4 hours.
seems like it hunts.
Yeah.
And it was a well-oiled machine. I watched it from the inside, you know, as I was part of it, and it was like everybody out of park, they were on it, and it just was really nice to see it work that way.
Yeah.
Well, it is honestly a situation where seconds matter, which is why we have these guidelines and why we collect the data, right? And why we check it and track it. And that's the reason we're trying to staff up and train up to the level that we are, is to hit those metrics and make sure that we take the call, we drop the tone, and the trucks get out on the time frames that we need them to get to that scene as efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a really good group. We're young. I mean, I think we have 3 dispatchers that are still under the age of 21 because they can apply. We can hire them at 18. And a lot of times people come in, they want to be a police officer, and this is a good starting point for them. They can't be a police officer until they're 21. And the state of Indiana is actually talking about making that 25. And we can get them for a couple of years, and they kind of get the idea of what public safety is all about.
It's sort of like the Mike Miller way of life.
That's right, I guess.
And it really gives them an opportunity to go, you know, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Or maybe this isn't for me, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, man, thank you. Any other ground we need to cover?
I don't think so. Again, I just want the community to know that, one, that Bluffton's unique. At least 6 counties in the state do it the way we do it, where dispatch is inside the city of Bluffton. We've got a working interlocal agreement with the county, and the investment that we're making in 911 is paying off. It's saving those seconds and ultimately saving lives.
Exactly. That's what I said at the last 911 board meeting is dispatchers save seconds, seconds save lives. And the interlocal agreement has really been a great thing in the 911 board, especially for policies and that kind of stuff. It's kind of put on the entire group, not one single person is making the decision. And in the past, that's how it was. And it's been a really good working relationship.
Well, Mike, thanks for coming out of retirement in like 48 hours.
Yeah.
And becoming the 911 director.
Yeah.
Thanks for all you do.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Parlor City Voice, episode 7. We'll be back after a short break.